Welcome back to my channel. How are you doing all? I hope you are doing well, staying healthy, enjoying life, and must be planning to do something great in life. We are here to build good hobbies to change ourselves. There are so many good hobbies such as reading, writing, painting, crafting, cycling, running, dancing, and swimming, cooking, and many more, as I already have told in my previous video also. And we have selected one hobby which is book reading to improve our English, including reading, writing, speaking, vocabulary at the same time, enhancing our knowledge. Here we read daily one chapter of novel to do so. Today we are going to read same novel named Like It Happened Yesterday, which is written by Ravinder Singh. You already know that, who is one of the best-selling author of I Too Had a Love Story and Can Love Happen Twice. If you like, I have already recommended you to read that. You will enjoy that. And today we are going to read the same book in the sequence, and we are going to read today fifth chapter of that. It is all for toothy green. This is a today chapter. So we will read this and we will see what is there in this chapter. Before that, I would love to hear your thought in comment section. Remember to like, share with your friends and subscribe my channel to connected and to get daily one chapter. Okay, so let's start. There is all for tutti green. You will get that what is a mean to tutti green. Tutti greens means when when child have a tooth and mother tooth which is a milk tooth and that is broken and there is a space between our teeth, so that is truthy green. And truthy green you can say broader smile also, you can say. You there is a many synonym for the same, but you can easily say like truthy green, it means broader smile with the space between our teeth. Okay, so there is chapter. In this chapter, author is telling about his truthy green, that how was his experience in the childhood. Okay, one day dad took me for a visit to the hospital again. He told me that my injection course had been completed. It means in the last chapter we have read about the inoculation in which author have to author which his brother, younger brother, and his father visit hospital for the injection i- for injection for the vaccination injection. So now his dad told that his injection course has been completed. Okay, and so I could relax. But how could I relax when I was being taken into that same building? I was only convinced when he took a different staircase, this time leading to a different wing. I had never been to this part of the hospital earlier, yet I was skeptical. After all, injections were not the only thing I hated, it was the entire hospital. So, author hate the injection, and not only the injection, it is all the hospital. That took me straight to the dental outdoor ward. There was already a long queue. There, Dad handed over the ticket to the compounder, who placed it underneath the stack of tickets on the doctor's table. He then placed a paperweight over the piles and went back to relax on the stool by the door. I wondered why we were there. I looked at the people around me. They all had their mouths closed, so I could not get to know what sort of dental problem they had, which made me wonder what sort of problem did I have. Everything was fine with me. I had neither complained of any toothache nor did I have foul breath. So I asked my father, Daddy, you have problem with your teeth? Ki? What? He asked absent-mindedly. Actually, author is confused that now his injection course has been completed. So why he is here in the hospital? So when he reached on the door of the dentist, so his he thought that might be his father has a some sort of problem in his teeth, because he has never complained about his toothache and any foul smell. So he asked to his father that do you have any problem, but his dad has no problem. Actually, he had bring him for uh, some sort of the you can say for the there was a problem in his teeth, like his teeth was not growing after the milk teeth broken. So that for that reason he was brought, he was author was brought there, but he was unaware of that. So he asked to his father, and there you will get some word of the Punjabi accent, like ki. Ki means what? So don't worry, there is a like in the bracket there is a English of that word also, so you will easily get. Okay. So ki, what? He asked absent-mindedly. तुम्हारे दंत खराब है? Something is wrong with your teeth? I asked him in Punjabi this time. He laughed and shook his head. नहीं नहीं, ता फिर अस्सी एथी क्यों आए हैं? I asked, wondering why we were there in that case. My father sat me down and told me the reason why we were in the dental ward. My front two milk teeth had fallen a few months back. The gap should ideally have been filled up by a pair of brand new permanent teeth. My family kept expecting this act of nature to happen by itself, but nature had been probably too busy with other things and forgotten me. So we needed a doctor who could become nature's proxy for me. Now you have it. I hope now you have got this, that what I was trying to tell you. Okay, that author was brought there to check up his teeth, because he has his teeth were fallen already, but he has not, that teeth had not grown up. About half an hour later, the doctor called my name, Ravinder Singh. My father flung into action. He asked me to quickly put back on the rubber slippers that had fallen off my hanging feet. Together, we rushed inside the room. The room was bright with sun rays, which flooded into it from a spacious window behind the dentist. There was a person sitting next to the dentist with a black bag on his lap. Once in a while, he pulled out a medicine from it and kept talking about it to the dentist. That told me that this man was a medical representative. I don't know what exactly he wanted, but the dentist did not seem even a bit interested in his talk. The only time the dentist looked at him was when he placed a nice looking pen set a diary and a calendar on his table. Looking at name, the dentist asked the same thing again. The medical representative slipped his hand inside his bag again and brought out a plastic torch, which he placed on the table with a huge smile. Soon after this, he left. I wondered why he had spent so much time explaining about the medicines when the real thing the dentist was not interested in was that torch. I looked around. The walls around me had neatly labeled diagrams of jaws and teeth. The words incisors, canine, molar, and premolar in one of the picture appeared familiar to me. I had read about them in my science class. I wanted to show my father my brilliance, so I tugged at his hand, wanting to tell him that we should tell the dentist that my incisors had failed to develop. But he ignored me and continued to explain the problem himself. I continued to look at the decorated walls. There was a poster of a beautiful lady with the glittering white teeth. She had a tube of white and red stippled toothpaste toothpaste in her hand. She had a beautiful smile now. Finally, the dentist looked at me and asked me to open my mouth. I smiled, imitating the smile of the lady in the poster. The dentist unimpressed asked me to look towards him and not toward the poster. Don't smile, Ravinder, open your mouth like this. Ah, he showed me how to do it. He looked funny. I had guessed the smile was a nice way to reveal my teeth, including the absent ones. However, this time I opened my mouth as wide as possible and sang as loud as possible. I made my tongue dance to the sound. As I held my mouth wide open for the longest time, my eyes seemed to shrink and my cheeks were stretched. I have invested a lot of energy in this sustaining that show. Everyone around me was looking at me. Okay, okay, this is enough, the dentist finally said. I closed my mouth and turned my attention back to the smiling lady with the toothpaste. The dentist explained a few things to my father, which I completely ignored. He prescribed some medicine for me and asked us to visit him again after 2 days. The last thing I heard him saying was that the procedure would take an hour when we visited next. So I would have to miss a period or two at school. I checked with dad if he was going to do anything to me and whether it was going to be a painful. Dad shook his hand and all I had to do was to take the medicines and come and show the doctor my teeth. The way I had done today, I realized that after 2 days I could legitimately bunk school. For the next 2 days, each meal I ate was followed by medicines. On day 3, I looked at myself in a mirror while brushing my teeth to see if by chance any the medicine had blocked and I had new teeth. Nothing the inside of my mouth appeared more or less just as it had 2 days back. Pagal dentist, I told myself in the mirror. So in this all the paragraph, author is telling about his experience, that how was his experience at the dental hospital. That was the same hospital but in the dental compartment. It was he was feeling like it will be a painful, but it was not like that. He had to just doctor has to just check to the up his teeth and just prescribe some of the medicine. He then told that after 2 days he had to visit again, and then they will do sort of uh, some sort of injection there will be and some sort of checkup again there will be. So the author was really happy because there was no any painful scenario on that day. When they back to home, so all things that the author eat, that was prescribed by the doctor. So he checked his he himself, he checked his teeth in a mirror in hoping that there will be any growth in his teeth, but there was not anything. So he thought that a doctor was like a pagal, and he don't have any sense. He has just prescribed this thing as he. Okay. So nothing the inside of my mouth appeared more or less just as it had 2 days back. Pagal dentist, I told myself in a mirror. Okay. So like it is a feeling of a child. It is written by a author which describe how a kid think at a particular time and how is that person feeling. At a school, I proudly told all my friends that I would be there for only half the day. I was going to bunk the school half. Dad was there right on time to pick me up, and as my classmate watched with envy, I quickly put my school bag on my shoulders and ran to Dad. It all started exactly the way it had started the other day. We first got a sleep mat, took the other staircase, and walked through the other wings and arrived at the outdoor dental ward, where a lot of people were waiting in the queue. I peeped inside the dentist room to see if the lady with that glitter smile was still there on the wall. Yep, She was right there, still smiling and still holding that toothpaste. Shall we start? Then the doctor looked at my father and asked, after they had discussed a few things, that nodded without looking at me. The dentist called for a nurse and asked me to follow her. I looked at dad's face. His silence rang a warning bell in my head. Though I followed the nurse, there were a lot of thought in my mind. She led me to a vacant cabin on the extreme right of the dental ward. In no time, I found myself sitting on a long, reclining chair. The nurse referred to it as the dentist chair and adjusted it for me. She pulled a level, it leaned back, she pulled another one, and I was above the ground. I asked her what was on her mind. She didn't say a single extra word. Meanwhile, the dentist appeared. As he came closer to me, I watched him slip his hands into a pair of gloves. He then strapped on a mask. Watching that made me sure that something terrible was in a store for me. I was trapped in that elevated reclining chair. I asked the dentist what was going to happen. We are going to bring your teeth out of your gums. He replied, what? I asked. And when no one answered, I asked again, how? We will have to make a small cut in your gums. And he dropped a bomb into my open mouth. You're going to cut my gums? No, please, it is going to hurt. I yelled. The dentist and the nurse ignored me. I asked them to call my father. They still ignored me. The dentist and the nurse were now almost ready to dissect my teeny pink gums. The nurse adjusted the overhead light so that it felt right on my face. It blurred my vision for a second. The dentist picked up his tools and asked me to open my mouth. I was petrified. No, no, no. It is going to hurt. I kept repeating. My legs trembled. I wanted to get off that reclining chairs and escape, but it was impossible to get up. The dentist said it wouldn't hurt because he was going to give me a anesthesia anesthesia. As he mentioned that he picked up a large injection, it had a long needle that would have been around 4 inches, if not 5. He brandished that horrible things right in front of my scared eyes. I froze. I couldn't alter a single thing. I was staring at the injection. Daddy! I cried out. No, I screamed. It was probably the loudest and the longest scream of my entire life. I am quite sure it could be heard, but much beyond that small cave in the dental ward, traveling down the staircase right into the parking lot. In its long journey, my scream must have announced my panic to almost everyone present in that hospital, including my father. In no time, Dad came running into the cabin. He looked at the dentist and the nurse. They had left whatever they had been holding so far. Their hands were on their ears. It was all only too clear. The dentist looked at my father and didn't feel the need to say anything. My father apologized on my behalf. I looked at my father and begged him to take me away. He patted my back and told me that it was important that I allow the dentist to operate on my mouth. He explained that if this was not done, I would be left toothless for the rest of my life. I am fine with that. I don't want this. Please, Daddy. I had begun to cry. You wouldn't even get to know if wouldn't hurt or at all after you take this anesthesia. The dentist pitched in. It took me a minute to frame my answer. Oh God, how dumb! This anesthesia injection itself is going to hurt, na? The nurse smiled. The dentist looked angrily at her. The dentist turned to Dad and announced, if you can't convince him now, you will have to bring him next week as I have another case to look after. I thought of telling him to postpone it, but right then Dad recalled that next week he would be out of station, so the operation had to be done that day itself. Half an hour later, with me on the dentist chair, our negotiation and peace talks had failed. The outcomes of this failure was simple. We were at war. United, they stood. Alone, I sat. That asked the dentist to proceed with my operation. The dentist again picked up his syringe and filled it. I took up my attacking position. The moment the dentist came close to me, I punched into the ear between us, narrowly missing the injection. Dad shouted at me and asked the nurse to pin down one of my arms. He then grabbed my other arm. The goddamn chairs didn't even allow me to jump off. I wildly paddled my leg in the air. A few cotton balls, along with a few dental instruments, fell over the big arms of the chair, and I screamed my lungs out. It was not only a difficult but almost impossible for the dentist to inject me. He kept shouting that if I didn't stop, my struggling might end up in the needle breaking and getting stuck somewhere inside my gum. But that didn't bother me. I screamed out louder in response. We were caught in a tussle. It was three versus one, the little me, to be precise. The three of them were shouting too, telling each other what to do. Dad then asked the nurse to pin down both my hands. He twisted my arms and brought my hands together behind the back of the chair and asked the nurse to hold them down in that position. He then went to the other side of the reclining chair to hold down my legs. He sat on my knees and weighted down my thigh. My legs were now in his full control. I gathered up all my energy and continued to protest. The tight grip of the nurse had almost stopped the blood circulation in my wrist. I was now sweating. I felt suffocated, but I didn't give up. My eyes had grown big and red. My idea was not to settle down and keep continuing my fight, but in no time I was exhausted. I was breathing breathing heavily. The three of them knew this. They could see that every moment I was getting a little more tired. When my reward was reduced to intermittent screams, the dentist came closer to me. My father and the nurse continued to hold me tight. The dentist told them that he was finally going to inject me. I collected all my leftover energy, and now, instead of moving my body, I started shaking my head left and right. The dentist was now extremely irritated, so my father, the nurse, kept shouting just out of my line of sight. क्या कर रहे हो बेटा ऐसा मत करो. What are you doing, son? Don't act like this. The dentist went out for a moment and brought his compounder with him. Mercilessly, he commanded the compounder to hold my head and restrain any sort of movement. He also instructed him to hold my face in such a way that my jaws would remain wide apart. So this was now 4 versus 1. The compounder attempted to do what he was told, but the moment his hands clobbered onto my jaw, I bit him hard. His hand tasted of detols, the disinfectant. I immediately spat out and the spite landed on the dentist's apron. The compounder yelled in pain. The dentist wringed out a frustration that continued to shout at me. The nurse kept saying, Beta, Beta. After a half an hour long battle, my body gave up. I wanted air to breathe. A lot of it I had fought like a braveheart, but I was now exhausted and had resigned myself to fate. I closed my eye when I saw the syringe inches away from me. I felt the tears from my eyes and the sweat on my face mingling together. The next thing I felt was an intense pain that surged up from my gums to somewhere behind my nose. I could feel the dentist impacting his syringe somewhere inside the tissue and nervous behind my nostrils. There was pin drop silence in the cabin. After taking the injection out of my mouth, the doctor wrapped a plastic body cover around me. I remained calm. Two streams of tears rolled down my cheeks. The anesthesia was quick in its work. I could soon feel a heaviness in my gums. I opened my eyes and looked at Dad. He told me it was all fine. I looked at his hands. They were still pinning down my thigh. I looked back into his eyes. I didn't say anything. I didn't want to say anything. I closed my wet eyes and remained calm for the rest of the procedure. After about 20 minutes, the dentist tapped my shoulder and told me, "It is over, you can get up." I opened my eyes, but this time I didn't make any eye contact with him. I had heard what he had said, yet I didn't move. I ignored it and him. The nurse let go of my hands. My father got up and came closer to me. He assured me that the operation was over. He patted my shoulder in an attempt to comfort me. I didn't make any eye contact with him either, nor did I speak. When he asked me to get up, I didn't move. When he left me alone and went away to consult the doctor about what I should eat and what I should not, I got up unnoticed and walked out of the room. While walking out of cabin, I came across a washroom with a mirror installed on the wall above it. I looked at myself. My nose and lips were still and flattened. There were a few blood stains on my shirt and around my lips. I tried to opened my mouth, I was not able to feel anything. The effect of the anesthesia was still there, while I was merely able to pull down my lower lip. I saw cotton stuffed in my mouth, surrounding my front upper gums. The dentist shouted from behind me, "No, don't take the cotton out." I tucked my t shirt into my shorts and walked out of the room alone. In the meantime, Dad had finished his conversation with the dentist and followed me out. "Chalo, घर चलें." "Let's go home," he said and took my hand. I didn't say anything but followed him. But not before slipping my finger out of his hand. So this was all the feeling and experience of the author in at the in the hospital, especially in the dental compartment. So we will next tomorrow we will read next chapter, that is the question of birth. That is very interesting chapter, and here you can see that how beautifully each and everything is written in a simple word, and like everyone whoever will read this easily can get that what author is trying to do, trying to tell. And this is the simplest way to start our reading to improve our English, whether that is speaking, writing, and uh, for vocab also. Because until unless we read any book, newspaper, and anything, so we can't start speaking. And for understanding also we need to read. It is not about the story, it is about our reading habit. If we read at least a page, one page or two pages daily, we can develop our habit and hobby also. First we can start with the habit, and habit can become our hobbies. So it could be a good if we read daily. So I daily bring here one chapter of a novel for the same novel, so that we can in the 15 or 20 days at least we can complete a whole novel also. I hope you like this. If you like this, please like, share, and subscribe my channel. I hope you do so. Thanks a lot. We will meet tomorrow. Bye bye.